It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. On this episode, we have the one and only John Hart. He's in the building. He'll be talking about how to lead from depth and connect with heart. Isn't that kind of interesting? With heart, and have the impact you desire. What's going on, John? How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited for the opportunity to talk to you and the people who are listening.
Thanks so much, man. Before we get started, because we'll get into your bio, we'll talk about how famous you are, we'll talk about all the wonderful things you've done. But I guess one question on someone's mind when we talk about leaders and how to lead has to be, why are some of the best leaders not always the loudest folks in the room? Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think oftentimes when we're loud, we're oftentimes people who are loud are just really trying to get their way, trying to get across what they want to have done. And it's not always necessarily connected to something that really matters, really even deep down to themselves, let alone to the people that they're serving with and the people that they're trying to serve.
That makes a lot of sense. And what does it really mean to lead from depth instead of just leading to connect? What does that really mean when you talk about how to lead from depth? Can you define that for us, please, or give us your view of the world? I'll say it like that.
Yeah, for me, leading from depth is about going deeper, both in yourself, and then taking your people also to something that's deeper. It's like what Simon Sinek talks about, the why. I've had so many examples in my life of when I find that if I'm working too much on the surface, then I'm just getting a task done, but I'm not necessarily always achieving the objective or achieving, frankly, the purpose that I'm about. So for me, depth is about connecting to your source. It's about being clear about what your purpose is, for you as an individual, and then also the purpose for your team. It's about having a very clear vision and being able then to stick to that vision. And it's about a sense of values. And it's about the depth of the relationships that you have with people. When you can make sure that you've got all that grounding in place, then you're in a better position to be able to deal with all of the distractions that come your way and keep you focused on what really matters.
Yeah, you talk a lot about being able to connect with heart and have impact at the same time. I'm just curious. It might just be Shay Brown. I might be the only one curious about this. Why are leaders struggling to really connect with the heart and have impact when today, I just want to put it out there, it's not a new idea, but they have AI. So they can wake up in the morning and say, I want to lead today like John Maxwell. And AI says, this is exactly what you got to do. Or today I want to lead like my mentor. And it'll tell them exactly what I have to do. Take a moment, and I know it's an unfair question, but how does AI, from your view, play a role in helping leaders, or not helping leaders, connect from the heart so they can get the impact they truly desire? I'm just curious what you're seeing out there.
Well, I have to tell you that I've only recently begun to use AI more myself because it can give you a lot of answers to a lot of questions very quickly. I think AI can really be challenging if you're expecting it to replace human judgment and human heart. I think it can actually more quickly give you some ideas so that you can focus on, so you can spend less of your energy trying to find information, and then it can free you up to get to expend more of your energy in the things that I call heart. For me, leading from the heart is when you are actually connecting with people. And frankly, also, it's about what the leader brings to the table in terms of his or her own heart of service, of passion, of empathy. And those are things that AI doesn't have. AI is never going to have empathy. right? But so if you leverage AI so that you can get some of the technical stuff on the surface done, then you can be in a better position to lead to have a heart. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yes.
This is just an example that I hope will help you to understand it. I used to play the drums. I played it in high school and college, and I played it in church band, and I spent so much of my time working on the technique of playing the drums, and but it wasn't until sometimes you practice, but it's not until you actually have the heart when you can actually feel the music. And I remember one time when I was sitting playing with a new guy that I hadn't played with before on the bass guitar, and he was trying to get me to improvise, and I wasn't really very good at that because I was so worried about getting the technique right. But it was only when he encouraged me that I finally let go of all of the technique, and I trusted it. I let it be what it was going to be, and I still followed the beat and did everything I was supposed to do. But then when I let go of all that and I just let the music flow through me and I just became a conduit of the music, then is when the power really came. Then is when you can really feel it. The AI is not going to do that for you. AI is going to help you with all the technique, but in the end, people need a leader who can feel with them, who can really deeply connect with them.
Powerful. I love that story, man. I played the drums. I wasn't that good, so I had to go to the bass guitar in church. So I get it, man. I get it. I didn't have the rhythm, man. I couldn't get it. If we can, let's slow down for a moment, because some folks, John, I know you work for some leadership companies, and we'll talk about some things you may have seen on the corporate side and for entrepreneurs. But no matter how famous you are around the world, a lot of folks are meeting you for the first time. There's some folks saying, Shay, I like what the guy's saying. He's making sense, but I don't know who he is. Like, I didn't get a chance to read his bio. I know some of you have already Googled him. Some of you looked at his bio. Some of you have been online. But some of you might be listening in the kitchen right now while you're cooking. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you. You have a lot of choices, and you choose to be with us. So, John, the question I'm going to have is, take a moment. Talk about, who is John Hart? What's the backstory? That's what they love. What's the backstory? And what was that defining moment that led you to really focus on helping other people lead, connect with the heart, and at the end of the day, get the impact they truly desire? Tell us your backstory, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if I can give you a single defining moment because there have been quite a few moments over the course of my career that have defined me. But you asked specifically about what made me want to help people. And that was, I would say, that was when I first felt like I was called into the ministry, and my career started a long, long time ago. Well, first with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology at Arizona State University, and then I went to Princeton for a Master of Divinity, and I served in the church for a little while. I stopped serving in the church when I reached a sort of a crossroads in my life, and then I started working for what was then called Chase Manhattan Bank. But so I started with where I told you about what I felt to be a call to ministry that I still feel called for, but I've been struggling for a long time to figure out how best to actually execute that call. I started there, but you're also asking about who am I, right? So just to make it quick, after I got those first 2 degrees, then I worked at JP Morgan, what became JP Morgan Chase, for about 14 years or so. Worked up my way up through the ranks to becoming a vice president. Then I went to work for GE, where I was also vice president for them with global responsibilities. And ultimately, then I was called and invited to take a job at a bank in Australia. And I worked there for up to 14 years as well. Ended my career then as the chief risk officer there at Bankwest. And Jen just recently retired from that role, and now I'm focusing my time and energy in this business that I call Grounded Leadership. It's a coaching and consulting business.
And what do you enjoy most about what you're doing now?
Mostly I enjoy the coaching because I love the time that I get to spend with people. And I really believe in my clients. I believe in their own creativity, in their own wisdom, in their own worth, in their own resourcefulness. And I love having the opportunity to just really work with them, to invite them to do their own exploration of what how they might want to think and feel and act differently in order to really embrace their empowered future. And I just love seeing that happen. And frankly, it's very rewarding for me when I know that I was able to work in partnership with somebody for them to really focus and change the direction that they're doing some things and to really achieve the results that they look for. I also like the opportunity to help to focus on the depth that I spoke about, to talk about how you can express and lead with heart in the midst of what you're doing in order to get the impact that you're looking for. Now, that's what I really enjoy the most. Along with that, I do some consulting as well, because coaching for me is not technically about giving advice, but sometimes people just really want your advice based on your experience and what you've learned through the years. And so then I'm also willing to do some consulting as well, and that's when we really can dive deep into depth and into heart in order to get the impact that you're looking for. And there's all kinds of things that I then can help people with in terms of trying to understand and figure out what your purpose is.
Yeah.
How do you craft a vision that's going to work for you and for your people, and that's connected to your purpose, and those kinds of things.
Yeah, you talk a lot about humility, trust, and I will say passion a lot. How do those three things really help a leader become a strong leader?
I think humility enables you to really accept reality for what it is, to look at yourself and to be curious about yourself, and then to make a difference from there. I, I I know that you wanted to talk about like the January 1st day. This
Yeah.
would be a good time for me to tell you sort of where that was for me.
Oh yeah, well, why don't you
And I
tell us
think,
the January 1st day? And for those folks that are curious, some of you are joining us for the first time. We have a segment that we do here called, I'll frame it for you, called Today is My January 1st. And for those folks that know what we're about to do, you can go ahead and say those magical words, and you probably wait to say it every night. Today is my January 1st.
my
Happy New
January
Year to you, by the way.
1st.
And for everybody else who's tuning in for the very first time, today is my January 1st is our personal mantra at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny the past is back there, the past really no longer equals the future. So the question I'm going to ask to John, he's already kind of started it, is twofold. Number one, just when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what goes through your mind? And number two, what was a January 1st moment you had, a time where there was a setback and you had to bounce back from it?
Yeah, so thanks for that. And I thought about this because you asked about humility and how that can help you be better. And I think that my January 1st moment is an example, I think, of how humility helped me to look at things in a way that was going to be helpful, so that I could, in fact, set the past behind me and then just focus directly on the future in a way that would be more effective with some humility. So when I'm going to talk about it as a January 1st moment, it was really more than a moment, because the failures that I had lived through and that I wanted to get beyond, it was a moment of decision, but it wasn't. There was more than a moment of failure that finally led to that decision that made a big difference for me. And the moment was really about when I was not selected for a master operator job, and this was a very low level job in a call center. So I have to give you just a little bit of background. So it was about 6 months after I had just started the call center job at Chase Manhattan Bank. I had just turned 31, and I already mentioned the degrees that I'd had and the time I spent in the churches, and then there I was trying to support my family. But after I left the church, I was unemployed for a few months. And in the beginning of that unemployment period, I received some job offers, but I thought too highly of myself. And so I didn't accept them because I didn't think they were good enough for me, or that they were going to pay me enough money. So I turned them down. But I failed to accept the reality that at that point in time, America was in a jobless recovery following the recession of the early 90s. And so even those early jobs stopped coming. And in the end, I took a job as a telemarketer selling septic tank cleaning systems. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that job for too long before I then got this entry level job at Chase Manhattan Bank. And then about 6 months after I was into the job, there was an opportunity for a promotion to this master operator job. Now, I was economically, emotionally, and spiritually drained. I was struggling, but I thought I should have been a shoo-in for that first promotion opportunity, since I knew that I was qualified and capable of doing that job and so much more. Yet I didn't get it. I was shocked and I was devastated, and my instinctive reaction was to just make excuses and to blame the hiring manager, not to other people, but in my head, certainly. I accused her of biases. I accused her of playing favorites. I accused her of asking poor interview questions. But fortunately, I also realized that while all of those excuses might assuage my feelings about my failures, they could also blind me to reality and distract me from taking effective action to build the future that I really sought for myself. So I decided to set aside all the excuses, to stop trying to assign blame, and just to ask myself what I could do differently. So I asked for a meeting with her. And I didn't intend, nor did I use that meeting to challenge her decision on the master operating position. I accepted that decision for what it was, and I focused only on what could happen in the future. So I just told her about myself. I told her about my experience, about my strengths, about my capabilities and my interests, about what was important to me, and about my vision. And I also just told her that I wanted an opportunity to use my skills and talents to contribute more than I was able to do as just a call center agent. And the result was that I'd earned enough respect from her that she started giving me tasks that tested me, and then she gave me more tasks. And when I performed well enough on those, she eventually created a role for me that was far more suited to my abilities and to my interest than the master operator role would ever have been. And that was the first in a long line of promotions at Chase, leading up to vice president. And then my career just took on from there.
And what's the big takeaway you want the audience to get from that? This incredible story. Thanks for being so authentic. I didn't know that. What's the big takeaway for the person that's listening right now that's an entrepreneur? Maybe they're a leader. Maybe they're a leader of their family. Maybe they're a leader of their community. Maybe they lead an organization. You're like, you know what, Shay, here's one lesson I want them to take away from what I just shared. What would it be and why?
So it was, I would say it's humility and character. Those are two different words, but I think that they're closely related. Humility is the ability to actually see yourself really, right? So that doesn't mean beating yourself up, and it doesn't mean that you don't have a strong voice, but it means that you have a lot of self-awareness, and you spend a lot of time, frankly, in reflection, and also talking to other people with curiosity, because that's only really the best way you can get a good perspective of who you are and of what your strengths really are and what your opportunities really are. And I combine that with character because, and that's another part of the lesson that I learned from this, because I talked to you about the ability to accept reality. Dr. Henry Cloud defined character as the ability to accept reality for what it is and then to manage accordingly. Right. So that's what I did. And I think in this role, at least now, I'm not saying I've got the best character in the world, because I've made a lot of other mistakes since then. That wasn't like all of a sudden a moment 25 years ago that meant that I never had any problems. But the point is that, as often as possible, I think that the lesson here for me has always been, you have to look at reality for what it is, and then you're in the best position to make the best choices on how to proceed.
I love that. And, you're giving a lot of advice, and you quoted a number of folks here. And one of my questions I like to ask, and we have a few minutes, we got a couple of minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given that you would just share with the audience? Now, I'll frame it for the audience so they know you've had a lot of mentors along this journey. You talked about one just a moment ago. You talked about being in the band. You probably read more books. You see the big bookshelf behind them, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you got books there and probably books on his phone these days. And you've been to more seminars that you can probably maybe remember. But if you had to step back and say, you know what, Shay, here's one of the best pieces of advice that was given to me that I just want to pass on to the audience that may help them, what would it be and why?
Well, there's so many. So a lot of the advice that I've received actually resonated well with me. But but one that really changed my perspective was that there was an executive coach that I had. Her name was Barbara Green when I was working for Chase in San Antonio, and she got me to read a book. Back then, it was called "Now Discover Your Strengths" by Don Clifton and Marcus Buckingham, I think their names were. They now have this thing called Clifton Strengths Finders and things like that. Some of you probably heard about it, and I'm sure many of your listeners have already taken advantage of it. But I took that survey then, and I worked with Barbara on trying to understand those results. And what was really life-changing for me was that it got me to have a sense of what my strengths really were. I used to spend all my time and energy figuring out what I was doing wrong and trying to find how's the best way I could achieve, I could overcome that. And that's all well and good. I mean, it's good to know where your opportunities are, as I talked about with humility and so forth. But as I said, humility is not actually just beating yourself up, right? It's actually knowing what you're good at. And so it was through conversations with her that I realized that I needed to leverage my strengths in ways that were not only going to help me, but were going to help me to fulfill my purpose, which is to help other people better. And then from that point, that's when I decided to go and get my MBA from University of Texas at San Antonio, where I was. And then that just helped me to further my career, to get different roles where I then had an opportunity to expand my reach and make a broader contribution. And so I think that's one of the things that I'll always remember is the importance of knowing and leveraging your strengths.
Well said, man. Well said. When you think about success, I guess the question is, what does success look like for you these days? What does it feel like for you?
Okay, so I'm just giving you these honest answers as they're coming out to me. And I'm going to tell you
Absolutely.
the honest
That's
truth.
exactly what we want.
So, okay, so I'm married to a wonderful woman, and I've set my priorities for my life. So success is producing results in your life that are aligned to your priorities. It's that integrity that you have from aligning your actual behavior and your actions to what's important to you, to your values. And I've done this exercise where I've figured out what all my priorities are, and frankly, very, very, very top of my list is Carnine, my beautiful bride. And so what I do in my life that helps to make her life better and my life better with her, that strengthens our relationship, that finds ways that we can serve together. That's when when you feel in your heart that everything is just working right, and you feel that joy, that warmth, the expansion in your chest that comes when you can just feel the love flowing through you, and when you know that you're serving and when you're fulfilling your purpose, then, and by the way, I do see that as a part of my purpose. I believe that God gave me her in order to protect and to serve her, and work with her to also do my purpose in the world. Then when that's happening, you can feel it. And to me, that's what success is all about. Now, that's not the only thing that I do. There's a lot of other things I do around business, but that's the foundation, and that's the deep success that I have from which I'll build all my other successes.
I love it. I love it, by the way. Shout out to your wife. She got the shout out. She got the shout out today. Your wife's going to be excited. Take a moment if you can, as we're coming down the home stretch. What do you do for fun? I asked that question. We're not out saving the world, not helping leaders connect from the heart, get results. What does fun look like for you? I don't know if you're still playing the drums or not, but what does fun look like for you these days? We're curious.
I would say it's mostly walking on hikes. My wife and I like to travel, and everywhere we go, we're looking for places where we can hike. But it's the wonder of being out in nature and just to listen to the birds chirping and trying to figure out what birds those are now, and looking at the leaves and trying to figure out what kind of a tree that is. And I love watching my wife's excitement when she sees a new flower that she hasn't seen before and wants to run up and smell it. And that's the thing that we most do for fun, and it's really how I have most fun. And oftentimes it's with our dogs, and so it's a great pleasure to be walking with the dogs as well. And then, of course, there are some other things, right? I golf, and I really enjoy sailing, and there's some other things as well. But I would say that walking in nature with my wife and my dogs is the most fun that I can have.
Oh, that's cool. Now, ladies, I'm not gonna let him leave you hanging. I know you're curious what type of dog he has. Curious what the name of the dog is. I know y'all all curious because I'm a dog. I mean, my wife's a dog lover. We love dogs, so we love animals. But I'm just curious. If you don't mind, you don't have to share. But folks might be curious. Yeah. He mentioned the dog like 4 times. But what type of dogs do you have? What's their name, man? That's pretty cool.
Okay, they're actually siblings. Their names are Ford and Pippa, and they were born in the same litter. They are a mixed breed between an English an English Retriever, or no, an English Labrador, sorry, and a Norwegian Elkhound. And Ford is the brother. He's older and larger, and he looks more like the Lab. And the Pippa is a little bit smaller. She looks more like the Norwegian Elkhound, but they're both black with just spots of white.
How cool
and they're
is that,
wonderfully well-behaved dogs.
That's kind of cool. Last question as we come down the home stretch. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? I'm not sure if you're taking on any clients. And number two, how can folks connect with you? They're like, hey, I like the conversation. I like what I'm hearing. I want to lead. I want to be able to connect from the heart, and I definitely need to get some outcomes. Is there a website? Like, what should the audience do that want to stay in this conversation with you?
Yeah, I think the easiest way would be to reach out to my website. It's my company is Grounded Leadership, Coaching and Consulting. So the website is groundedlcc.com, groundedlcc.com. And you'll find out more information there about what kinds of things who I am and how I would like to be able to support you. But there's also a way to contact me through that website. My phone number, my contact information is there. So I think that's the easiest way.
Oh, well, good. Well, I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I know we got a chance to connect through General Tawanda Young, so which is pretty cool, by the way. So I'm happy to connect with you. Thanks for being on the show, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it and can't wait to connect with you again soon.
Thank you, Shay. Thanks so much.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So I never get tired of reminding you every night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really, really well and you're going to that next level of success, or you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming. The one thing I do believe is today is your January 1st. Because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. That being said, we out. Thanks a lot. Peace, everyone. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye for now.